Today we're starting my workbook called The 40 Days of Resurrected Life, and this is a comprehensive look. And what I mean by that is taking all four Gospels and little pieces from some of the other books to put what happened on that Sunday morning and the 40 days in chronological order. Pretty exciting, really, when you put it all together. You see a really beautiful picture of the whole thing. And so we're going to be starting with chapter 1, and that is early morning on the tomb. And it pulls directly right after he has been laid in the tomb. Early morning at the tomb, Matthew 28, 2 through 15, Mark 16, 1 through 5.
There was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven and going to the tomb, rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning and his clothes were white as snow. The guards were so afraid of him that they shook and became like dead men.
Right. So this is Sunday morning and it's pretty dark outside, and they have been guarding the tomb as where we left them at the end of last book. And then suddenly there's a violent earthquake, again, another one. And the angel of the Lord came down, and obviously that's not Jesus, it's another angel. And he rolls the stone back and sits on it. Now, if the stone had just rolled back on its own, they might have questioned, who's doing the rolling back and what's going on. But with an angel standing there, they are afraid for their lives. Why? Because they may have been part of the crew who crucified Jesus. And they are actually seeing something that is, geez, if any of us saw angel, wouldn't we be like frightened, scared to death, and what in the heck's going on? So yeah, and by them becoming like dead men is basically they fell to the floor, perhaps even fainted. Some of them might have. Why were there soldiers guarding Jesus's tomb?
So no one would steal his body.
Right. Who rolled the stone away?
Angel from heaven.
What happened when the angel of the Lord came down from heaven?
There was an earthquake.
Yeah. How did the soldiers respond to the appearance of the angel?
Afraid and shook and became like dead men.
Yes. So the question is, why did the angel roll away the stone?
Yeah.
Did Jesus need it to ascend? Absolutely not. He rolled away the stone for the people, not for Jesus. Because you think, okay, open the tomb so someone can come out. But we know that Jesus doesn't have walls that would confine him. So it's really for the people on earth that they rolled away the stone. Yeah. And for the ladies that are coming, actually. When you're ready.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking of
that's no problem.
I guess, why did the angel roll away the stone? Yeah, for the women that were coming to the tomb. Yeah.
Right. It was for the people and not really for Jesus at all.
Yeah. Okay. Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of James, and Salome brought spices so that they might go to anoint Jesus' body. Very early on, the first day of the week, just after sunrise, they were on their way to the tomb, and they asked each other, who will roll the stone away from the entrance of the tomb?
Sometime I wish they could map this out, because this is in the Garden of Gethsemane. And so as they are coming to the tomb, once the soldiers get their act together, they're going to leave the tomb, but they're coming and going in separate directions. It's, there must have been several entrances to this Garden of Gethsemane. What day is the first day of the week?
Sunday.
What time of day did they go to the tomb?
After sunrise.
Right, very early, yeah. What were these women bringing to the tomb, and why?
Spices to anoint Jesus' body.
There was another woman with them. Who was she?
Joanna.
Yeah. We don't know much about her, but she's just a follower of Jesus. Of course, in the Chosen, she isn't she the black lady,
Oh.
I think. But anyway, what was the question on their minds?
Who will roll the stone away from the entrance of the tomb?
Which was a very logical question because none of them could have strength to do it.
Okay. But when they looked up, they saw that the stone, which was very large, had been rolled away.
Now, notice in the picture, there's only 3 women. And the next chapter will tell us what happened to the 4th woman.
Oh.
When they got to the tomb, what did they notice?
The stone was rolled away.
Who was originally guarding the tomb that apparently is no longer standing outside of the tomb?
The soldiers.
Seeing the tomb already open, the women would have been alarmed. What might they have thought?
The soldiers took the body away. Some disciples hid the body. Joseph and Arimathea moved Jesus to another location. Any of the above. And it's D, any of the above.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they don't know what to think. This is odd to them. Since the stone was very large, would it have been easy to move?
No.
No.
As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed. The angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified."
Right. Luke 24:3-4 says, when they entered, they did not find the body of the Lord Jesus. While they were wondering about this, suddenly 2 men in clothes that gleamed like lightning stood beside them. And we'll talk a little bit about why those have a little bit of a difference in a bit. But here's the thing. They go in, they see the body gone. They're wondering what's going on. And so angels are coming to let them know because, despite all the time that Jesus told them, I'm going to rise from the dead, nobody's believing that. So they literally have to be told what has happened to Jesus for them to understand. And so I do like the fact that the women are the first ones to find this out. This is a woman's book, actually, this 40 Days of Resurrected Life. But the women are the first ones to find out that Jesus's body is not only gone, but it was taken by God. He ascended. I mean, that is, he rose. He didn't ascend. He rose. And did they find Jesus's body in the tomb?
No.
Who did they see in the tomb?
A young man dressed in a white gown, robe.
What was the woman's reaction to the angel?
Alarmed.
Alarmed, yeah. All of us would be alarmed. What did the angel tell them?
Do not be afraid, for I know you are looking for Jesus.
Notice what Luke says below. Can both be true? And yes, they both can be true. It was just one spoke. So in one version, that's the only person they focus on. But there could have been 2 there, but one spoke. And that's how you would make sure both of these line up.
Right. He is not here. He has risen, just as he said.
Right.
Come and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples he has risen from the dead and is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him. Now I have told you. So
a couple interesting things here. They want them to go and actually see where the body was laid, not just, the body's gone. Come into the tomb, make sure he's not hiding somewhere. Know for sure your facts. Why? Because these facts are going to be important later on. And, they wouldn't have thought about that time. They're going, the body's gone. Here we got angels, got in mind and confusion during that time. But they wanted them to have the facts to go with. And so they come in and they see the body is gone. And they say, go quickly and tell his disciples. Well, we happen to know where all the disciples are. They are in the upper room, cowering, praying and cowering, afraid that, and then the doors are locked and afraid that They too will be crucified because they were followers of Jesus. So all the disciples are in the upper room cowering. And so they say, go and tell the disciples he's risen from the dead and going ahead of you into Galilee. This is where this is an interesting concept. Jesus will tell them, and the angels will tell them, I will see you again in Galilee. He will see them in Galilee, but they don't move. They stay in the upper room cowering. And so we'll see that Jesus makes a change and sees them before he sees them in Galilee. But it's just interesting that so many times they tell them, move, go back to Galilee, move, and they won't move. What did the angels have the women do first before they left to tell the disciples?
See the place where he lay,
Where is Jesus going to meet his disciples?
Galilee.
What had happened to Jesus?
He rose from the dead.
What would the women have found left on the slab where Jesus's body had been laid?
That cloth that Jesus wore.
Yeah. And why do you think the angels wanted the women to see where Jesus had laid first before going to tell the disciples?
Jesus was gone.
Yeah, the facts, I mean, when they go back to the disciples, first of all, they're women, but when they go back to the disciples, the concept of women hysteria was very prevalent in that time. So when they go back to the disciples, they have facts to say, not just, oh, he's gone, but he's gone.
So the women hurried away from the tomb, afraid yet filled with joy, and ran to tell his disciples. Suddenly Jesus met them. Greetings, he said. They came to him, clasped his feet, and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me.
So the very first people that see Jesus when he rises is women and the three ladies that have tended everybody, which is very paramount, I think, because he didn't have to see them first. He really didn't have to, and yet he does. He's in the garden, and as they're traveling back to where the disciples are, they see him. Now, another important point here. Can they touch him? Yes. It's an important point of his resurrected body. We will see the differences of what he could do before and what he can do now. He can be touched. What were the emotions the women were feeling as they hurried to tell the disciples?
Afraid yet filled with joy.
Who did they meet on the road?
Jesus.
What did the women do when they saw Jesus?
Clasped his feet and worshipped him.
And what did Jesus tell them to tell the disciples?
Do not be afraid. Go and tell the brothers to go to Galilee.
Right,
There
which they won't do. But you notice again the three women. We're still looking for the fourth, which I think is in the next chapter. But it's just interesting to me. He made a point to have the women see him first.
Yeah. While the women were on their way to the tomb, some of the guards went into the city and reported to the chief priest everything that had happened.
So notice only some of the guards, not all of the guards. Some of the guards will probably be, because what would happen if what you were guarding, if the body was actually stolen, your life is forfeit. You're going to die because you didn't follow through with what you were supposed to do. And so some of the guards probably left because they didn't know what to tell the chief priests, but others were willing to come to the chief priests and tell them what happened. This is happening at the same time as the women arriving into the tomb. So they're missing each other. Okay. Because we noticed when the women were there, the soldiers weren't there. So the soldiers had left as the women were coming in. When the guards left the tomb, where did some of them go?
Into the city.
And report to the chief priests. Why did only some of them go to the chief priests?
To report to them what had happened.
Right. Some of them went. Now, we don't know why all of them didn't, but it's very possible that they were concerned with what they saw. Do you think some of the guards may have believed that Jesus was the Son of God at this point?
Yes. Some felt that Jesus was the Messiah.
Yeah, I mean, especially those who might have been at the cross and now is at the tomb, if they were the same group. My goodness, there's so much evidence that we have now crucified the Messiah and he's now up. Is he going to seek revenge? You know, it's like, do you think that guards were taking a risk telling the chief priest what happened?
Yes, they could be blamed for the body being gone.
Right, exactly, exactly.
When the chief priest had met with the elders and devised a plan, they gave the soldiers a large sum of money, telling them, "You are to say his disciples came during the night and stole him away while we were asleep. If this report gets to the governor, we will satisfy him and keep you out of trouble." So the soldiers took the money and did as they were instructed, and this story has been widely circulated among the Jews to this very day.
And during this time, the penalty for a soldier who falls asleep on his post is death. And of course, I'm not sure, might be reading from Mark at this point. At the time Mark was writing this, the Jews were still making that rumor go around. And, you know, that because the Jews did not believe and still do not believe that Jesus is the Messiah. They refuse to believe he's the Messiah. And so the only way they can believe it is if the body was stolen and not that he rose from dead. Although they're going to have a little problem by the end of this book of being able to convince everybody that, but that's okay. The chief priests and elders devised a plan. What was it?
The soldiers say the disciples came during the night and stole him away while we were sleeping.
What
Asleep.
would happen if the governor heard the story?
He'd be put to death for falling asleep.
Who continued to believe this story up to the time Matthew wrote this?
The Jews.
Right. Crossword. Okay, so one across. Who rolled the stone back?
The angel.
And number 3, whose body was gone from the tomb?
Jesus.
Number 6, what did the chief priest give the soldiers for telling a lie?
Money.
And 2 down, where Jesus told the women he would meet his disciples?
Galilee.
And 4, what did the women bring with them to the tomb?
Spices.
And 5, how many women went to the tomb?
4.
Yeah. Okay, so very good. Let me